What in the blue was that?
Welcome in, everyone, to Barely Educated. We are here to recap whatever that was. I don't even know. I have lots of thoughts. Chris, I'm sure you have some as well. Should I ask how you are on this Monday at noon after that?
Yeah,
But I guess I will. How are you?
I'm all right. This is bothering me more than it probably should if I were a natural, normal, healthy, balanced, emotionally person. But
I'm
man,
less bothered than I was last week for two
okay.
very obvious reasons, but carrying on.
Yeah, I don't know. I was up late, laying in bed, replaying stuff, and like, man, I just want to go to sleep. But yeah.
See, that was me
So,
last week.
oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
But I expected to lose that one last week. But yesterday,
I did
oh,
too. So I'm not saying I make a lick of sense, but there's a
okay.
soundbite for you.
May have to grab it.
Haven't heard the end of that one.
Hmm.
Okay, so I want to try to be nice at first.
Okay, that's good.
And maybe we could frame this in a fun way, since I don't know, people don't necessarily aren't really dying for some of the structure we mentioned before, whatever. What are you optimistic about, pessimistic about, realistic about coming out of that game?
Int
Optimism is Caleb's yardage,
hmm
2 touchdowns, Rome's game overall, and stuff that I'm reading now in the morning after as people get a chance to watch the film more and everybody on Twitter does their thing and the ones with a brain have some pretty interesting analysis for us. And they all revolve around Caleb. Caleb is your reason for optimism, Rome as well. Caleb Williams in a clean pocket from at Dave underscore BFR. 29 of 43 in week 3, a clean pocket. 29 of 43 for 331 yards, 15 first downs,
Mm.
2.3 average time to throw,
Oh,
and a
that's quick.
touchdown. This also means in his 52 dropbacks, because I don't think he had any scrambles, did he?
Not that I remember. No. Mm-mm.
That also would mean he was clean on 43 of 52.
That's the
I
math.
will call that improvement from the O line,
Uh-huh.
at least in that regard, and we'll come back to that.
Yes.
So Caleb also threw it 52 times, which he even seems surprised by. And PFF, I know they're not the be all end all, but they're the grades we have, and they do track the whole league. And so for context, that's worth it. Had him as only for making one turnover worthy play, the first interception, which was dreadful. You can't throw a second late to a guy in the flat in this league. Every
Yes.
rookie has that moment, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the guy's been standing there, you can't throw it. That's like that's how I would teach it. His footwork didn't look right on that play either.
In the game at that moment, there was actually a really good analysis and breakdown of it. I think it was Tiki Barber who pointed out his feet there and that his arm motion looked
The broadcast was
forced.
solid.
Yeah, so yeah, I thought that was a great example of an in-game analysis on that specific play, actually.
That actually made people smarter.
Right. That's all I ask.
So, continuing from Dave at underscore BFR, his he mentions the one turnover worthy throw, and that the second interception was on Rome. We can come back to that too if we want. His adjusted completion percentage, which accounts for drops, was 71.7%, and his
Pretty good.
average depth of target was 11.2 yards.
I'll take it.
This is why I'm taking this loss better as a
Mm,
fan in the long term. It's also maddening that your QB had 362 yards and you scored 16 points. Right? There are reasons to be ticked off, and we'll get there. But I wanted to start this with the fact that the quarterback took some big time steps, basically doubled his yardage. That means he's throwing for 700 next week, my friend.
Mark it down.
All right.
Bold predictions.
Yeah, I
So,
could not agree more with Kayla. Actually, the first thing I wrote down on my little notepad here, I'm showing Mark my notepad.
He does. It's just what you think it is.
Was gonna... Oh, and by the way, it's a Bears notepad.
It's just what you think it is.
I need help.
You are indeed a dip from Chicago.
First thing I wrote down was Caleb gonna be fine. That was the first thing I wrote down.
I just love it when the advanced metrics and the eye test, i.e., watching the game in my case, say, yeah, I had a good game. And then here come the people with the advanced numbers saying, yeah, I had a really good game. Don't freak out.
Yeah.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
Can you read again the time to throw when he had the clean pocket? What was it? 2 point what?
2.3.
2.3. Okay. I've seen some people on social media yesterday saying Caleb takes too long to throw. He takes too long to get rid of the ball. And I'm thinking, are you just repeating things that were said last year about Justin because you don't really understand? Or are you really believing that that's the case? Because eye test, he's clearly getting rid of the ball quicker. And then there you got the stat to back it up. So why would people be saying, oh, he's taking too long to get rid of the ball? I don't understand.
It does make you wonder. I mean, off the top of my head, I want to jump to, well, because they don't know how to watch quarterbacks.
Ah, okay. Yep.
Or because it's disingenuous.
Or both.
They're very naive and stupid people.
That's not important. Caleb is important. And he looked
and he's
good.
Getting better each week.
Yeah, each week. Each week.
And I know 3 total turnovers. Some people are going to fixate on that. And I want to, again, say it as many times as I have to. Downfield interceptions are just premature punts. They're not that important. It's much more important to stay aggressive and keep a defense honest and have the ability to hit explosive plays. That's why the first interception, one of the reasons, why it is much worse than the second. And according to PFF, apparently agreeing with me here, he didn't stand a chance on the strip sack because for some reason we have 2 tight ends blocking their first round edge. And while we're on it, the backup tight ends are giving you nothing. And Cole Kmet looks worse on that play than I think he deserves because he's basically like, oh crap, he didn't touch him. And he's like trying to, he's probably supposed to block and release as the check down. And he realizes the other tight end whiffs on the block. I can't remember if it was Lewis or Everett. Lewis looks bad. He's only asked to block and he's false starting and stuff. I mean, got all kinds of guys not doing anything for the offense. So the 3 turnovers require contextual analysis in their specific cases, as they did for Fields, as they do for everyone, and often they don't get that.
Right.
It's not 3 that is all on the QB or 3 egregious ones. It's 1 egregious one that he needs to learn from. And 2, oh yeah, they're good players too.
Yep.
Because it's the NFL. And really, the tip with Rome and all that's such dumb luck that it's even caught by that guy.
Yeah, I know.
And let's go ahead and talk about that play real fast. I actually thought it was DPI, though they probably never call it, because people are like, he got both hands on it. I'm not sure he got both because he was holding his other one down, kind of, and the defender got his hand in there. So I think you could maybe call that 50-50 if you're determined to blame someone. But I think it's just NFL players are good.
Yeah.
Even mediocre ones are great athletes, and he made a good play. The defender, he maybe got away with DPI, and maybe you want Rome to be more aggressive with it. Sure, you could teach from that, I suppose, but I think it's pretty hard to blame either one of them entirely. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's hard to be mad at Rome after yesterday overall anyway.
And he's your other reason for optimism.
And it's his 3rd game too. It's his 3rd game. Yeah.
I'd like him to run all the routes through. There was the play that hit off the guy's helmet almost.
Yeah.
where he kind of stopped when he cut, like he didn't think he was getting the ball, or I wonder if his knee was acting up or something. So there's teaching tape. They're still rookies, but I got some of what I needed to see against a lesser defense, though he didn't get enough points. That's my reason for optimism.
Okay, I like it. Endorsed.
Pessimism.
Whew, boy, I'm ready.
The O-line is terrible. They did better in pass pro. We just went over that. But they can't run block. Why can't they run block?
I don't know. That should be the easiest or most basic thing for any O-line. Yep.
There's so much going on there that I hardly know where to begin. Because there's it's very difficult without being in the room to separate what is a player's bad play, from a unit not on the same page, from a scheme sucking, from a bad call at the wrong time. It's all there in various forms over 3 weeks. But trying to figure out which one is the most, like, the strongest explanatory power for what we're seeing and how to fix it is awfully difficult. So I feel like it's a little bit lame, but I almost think I don't have any choice but to lump in the line and the coaching on the offensive side of the ball together, because it seems like the problems could be related when the run blocking has taken such a big step back.
I think the fourth and goal is a perfect example
Yep.
of what you're saying, of how we can't separate the two. Because we saw that. We saw bad scheme, we saw bad execution, all at the same time. And that's just a perfect microcosm of what you're saying, I think, is that play.
Yeah. And I want to come back to that series in a second. But this is from Mike Sando's weekly column on Monday mornings in The Athletic. Quote, the Bears' problems, in my opinion, start with the offensive line and the construction of it, an evaluator said. I don't know what is it, a GM, a scout? It's an evaluator. Then it's Waldron. So now he's connecting these dots, and he's a paid NFL professional. So then it's Waldron, especially when you look at the other coordinators in the division. He's clearly fourth. The head coach is fourth. Right now, the quarterback is surviving on his own. That's just a money quote.
Yep.
And that's my problem with the whole plan. The coach is fourth. He's fourth by a country mile.
Mm-hmm.
Falls off a cliff.
I saw that quote as well and thought the same exact thing. It was like, okay, well, let's not make the quarterback on his own as quick as we can. Like, let's actually do something in the offseason, please.
So the reasons for pessimism are basically the coaching and the O-line, and I'm not 100% sure they can be fixed. We will see. It's still early. That's the obvious caveat with the whole conversation. But you'd have to be the strongest optimist in the world to think that the line and the coaching will get better quickly. Feels like if they do get better, it's going to be a bit. You could claim Waldron's still just in week 3 figuring out his personnel. He did a much better job the last 2 weeks with Kmet. Kmet had a good game. Shout out to him too.
Yes, he
Not
did.
to be forgotten in the rest of it. The tight end usage that we complained about has been cleaned up. Some still needs a little bit more. You got to get more out of Everett. I don't know what that guy's problem is. Did he lose a step right when the Bears signed him?
No.
Anyway,
it seems to happen.
now you got to figure out the running backs.
Speaking of losing a step,
Yeah, for real, or just tripping every step. So he's got work to do. It's still early, but it's not the first year we've thought the O-line was a weak link going in. I said it in August, and I said the coaching was the other one, and both of those things are so far very much true. I will circle back to the coach, but I want to talk about the running game for a second because I got some data for you there too.
Oh, good.
The Bears from Jonathan Wood, a fellow professor.
Yeah, good follow on Twitter.
Yep. At Jonathan_Wood1, the number 1. The Bears have 3 offensive players playing really poorly this year: Swift, Everett, and Davis. All 3 are on the field, 26 plays, 1.6 yards per play.
Oh, no.
Whoa.
That's bad, right?
That's bad.
2 on the field, 92 plays, 3.2 yards per play. Still pretty bad. Just 1 of them on the field, 52 plays, 3.8 yards per play.
Huh.
None of them on the field, 36 plays, 5.1 yards per play.
Huh.
Now, he goes on to say, he is a stats guy, some of that is small sample size. Some of it is Davis not playing against Indy, the worst D the Bears have faced, and so on. So you got to take some of that with a grain of salt.
Sure.
But, quote, if I was trying to figure out how to fix the offense, I'd start by drastically reducing the roles of all 3. The Bears already have for Davis and Everett. Swift next.
Man, he should. I was just watching the game. Both Herbert and Roschon look better with this line because of how weak it is. They're both better at breaking a tackle and going through the middle of the line too. They're just better options with the way things are right now. And I'm a little annoyed that our offensive coordinator doesn't seem to see what is so obvious.
I mean, they signed Swift coming off of a 1,000-yard season with the Eagles, which was 5th best in the league.
Okay. With that
I'm
line,
sorry,
though.
Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham. Yeah, that's exactly right. Your job is to evaluate whether that was the Eagles line or is the player. I saw another tweet. I can't find it at the moment, but it was basically like, I think it was Jonathan Wood again. So maybe I can get to it quickly here. But it was basically the same idea that Swift is one of the biggest problems with the offense, even though it's always seems sort of unfair to clown one player when the whole operation on the running game looks so bad. But here it is. According to at Next Gen Stats, which we all love on Thursday nights, they do an awesome broadcast. They have DeAndre Swift at 82 rushing yards below expected. If he was just gaining the yards expected, in other words, not even over, like league average, he'd be averaging 4.2 a carry instead of 1.8. That makes me go, wait a second. I thought the run blocking was the problem. Or a carry you'd live with.
Yeah,
More than 2/3 of his runs have leave the Bears behind the chains. He's killing the offense. Other Chicago running backs are at 19 carries. He's at 37. He's at 1.8 yards per attempt, which is pitiful. They're at 3.5, which is average-ish.
Better.
And again, I know where I'd start if I was trying to fix the run game. And again, all of this is a small sample. So that's probably next. I think Swift has been, over the most part of his career, a good third down back. I think that's the lesson everyone's learned where he's played. If the Eagles don't want him back, I got to say there must be a reason.
Yep.
So use him as a third down back in the passing game and give Roschon way more carries and Herbert more carries that are not so predictable. Herbert seems to be the short yardage guy. I don't know why. We're 2 years removed from Herbert averaging almost 6 yards a carry with no passing attack.
That's what I just don't get it. I don't understand. Is it possible? This is a little conspiracy theory, but could Waldron be getting orders from Poles to say, I signed this guy, gave him a lot of money, play him?
I don't know. I hope not.
I hope not too. I don't know how often that may happen in the league, but
yeah, who knows?
If there's a GM ego that's like, don't make me look dumb by, benching this guy, or
make me look dumb by continuing to play him.
Right.
All right. Another Twitter stat from Robert Mays, the great Robert Mays.
Good stats today, Mays. My friend. Yeah.
At Robert Mays.
Oh.
My favorite Bears stat of the season so far. Guys, if I could capture their problem in one pithy stat, it's this, especially because there's at least some sample here. Per at True Media Sports, they've turned 5. You can count them on your hands with your kindergartner. 5 of their 59 second down plays into first downs this season. That is an 8.5% conversion rate. No other team in the league is below 18.8, and that team is the Panthers. They are 10 percentage points worse than the next worst team, which is Carolina, at taking a second down and converting it into a first. And what, of course, is the obvious byproduct, he goes on to say, of not converting on second down?
Third and long.
Tons of third downs, often third and long. And what do teams do to you on third and long?
Release the horses, man.
Not a great recipe for a QB in his first year. And yet he had 362 yards. But as Sando's evaluator said, he's doing it by himself. What happens when we get some help? But the pessimist, this is the pessimist section. This is why I didn't want to keep the coach.
Yeah.
I don't care that he's a good defensive coordinator. When can you realistically fire him? If you fire him this year, here's what I'm afraid they're going to say at the end of this year, unless the record's terrible. Oh, it was a rookie QB. Okay. Then next year, I think my QB is good enough. He maybe drags me kicking and screaming into the playoffs. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Matt Eberflus is decidedly the worst coach in this loaded division.
By far.
It's not even close.
By far.
Dane Waldron thus far has been easily the worst play caller. In a league that has so far, in 3 weeks, been mostly dominated by defenses and defenses adjusting and now hiding what they're doing until the last minute and throwing teams off. I mean, the Vikings just pounded the Texans.
Man.
Thanks to that, who pounded the Bears. Right. The gap between the haves and the have-nots and the play caller is like even more important then. So That's the pessimist in me. It's like, gosh, this plan was stupid and it's manifesting in front of our very eyes. Now, 100 things could happen that I'm not trying to like fire Matt Eberflus the man. I am firing Matt Eberflus the in-game coach because he's terrible at it.
So
and it's his third year.
Do we have to? No, you're fine. Do we have to root for the Bears to be bad? For a
no, I don't want to
change?
do that. I'm not going to.
I don't want to do that either. But
okay, you ready for the realist?
Okay, hit me with
the realist. Is not trying to be either the optimist or the pessimist.
Okay. Why am I more nervous?
Because I'm the guy that came up with Bears Enlightenment. I don't know. You've got your reasons, I'm sure. All right. So this is the part of the schedule the Bears are supposed to get fat on, right?
It was.
Let's return to the schedule, okay? I'm sorry to do this to you, everyone. Upcoming, home for the Rams, home for the Panthers, London for the Jaguars, and a bye. You are 1-2, having lost to what I think is a pretty bad Colts team whose quarterback can't complete basic passes.
Oh, man.
Fun fact, his 39 rating at one point in the game, I don't know what he finished with, but towards the end, that was his rating. You can get that rating by going 0 for 20 with no turnovers.
Oh, my
he
goodness.
stunk and the Bears couldn't win. More on the defense in a bit.
Yeah.
But you got 3 games in a row. Do you got to win all 3 of them?
I don't even know if you can win the bye, but yeah.
Well, no, the bye is always favored by 3.5.
Right.
Jim joked yesterday.
Yeah, well.
Wait, you got to do the falsetto. He's going to be mad.
Okay,
there we go.
Sorry. Mid-thought.
While we're on it, I was talking to Cousin Nate.
Cousin Nate?
About the schedule. Okay, so you got 3 very winnable games in theory right there. Then the bye. Then at Commanders, winnable. At the Cardinals, feisty, but winnable. I don't think I'm picking the Bears at the moment, but they're not like amazing. There could be a playoff to our case, as I said last week or last pod. Then home for the Patriots, also feistier than expected, but still bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's 6 games coming up. Rams, Panthers, Jaguars, Commanders, Cardinals, Patriots. I will say all of them are winnable, and you will be favored in a few of them for sure. So let's say they're not going to win 6 of those 6.
Probably not.
They've already screwed that up by losing yesterday.
Yes.
I'm going to say they win 4.
Oh.
4-2 there, plus 1-2 now is 5-4. Woo! We're above 500.
Wow.
Not for long, we're not. Home for the Packers, home for the Vikings, at the Lions, at the Niners, at the Vikings, at the Lions, home for Seattle. Looked pretty good yesterday. At the Packers.
Wow, that could be an offer at the end there.
You could lose 7 in a row, and then you're going to fire him.
Okay.
The realist is, of course, the schedule can be all nonsense based on injuries and everything else, but we have a better sample now, 3 games in, of trying to do this exercise, and you've got to sit here and go, they got to get fat off of the early schedule because the later part, they are in big trouble based on what we've seen thus far. We thought the Vikings were wins or at least a split. Now I'm like,
not with the born again Sam Darnold.
Not the current version of the Vikings, right? Maybe that's they cool off. I don't know. I'm just saying, as we sit here now, they have got to go on a little run right now.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you might be in a scenario where jobs are on the line. And I'm not going to say that's optimism or pessimism. It's just realism.
Sort of related and connected to coaching too. How about the Packers being 2-0 without Jordan Love?
With Malik Willis, who's been there for 5 minutes.
That's a coach.
The rest of the league thought he couldn't throw a pass. Dude, he's a great coach.
He is. My friend Bob back home hates it when I say it, but it's true.
Tell him to console himself with the fact that they unnecessarily paid $55 million to Jordan Love.
Yeah,
annually.
That's true. Poor Bob.
Just keep rotating out Matt LaFleur's gimmick quarterback of the month and not pay one, and it'd be a deeper roster. I kid, but really, the coaches in this division are all really good except for ours.
Except for
and
one. Yeah.
I don't know what I want there beyond a better play caller for Caleb, which I think means you've got to fire people and bring in an offensive-minded head coach to pair with him. And the other point I want to make on the coaching, two more, and then the defense real quick. Whenever Matt Eberflus coaches the QBs over the last couple of years, the things we are told, definitely grain of salt. I mean, Hard Knocks is probably faked for television.
Yeah.
But the things we are getting on him coaching QBs is crazy, ridiculously generic. Remember the 200 club he wanted Fields to be in? 2 TDs, no turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions, or whatever the parameters were, was super generic. And that's not coaching. That's just setting a generic goal. That's not coaching. Coaching is teaching. Mm-hmm. Coaching is, and if the defense gives you this look, we want to audible to this other play. If the defense gives you that look, here's your hot route. Here's the timing. Here's your footwork. It's like telling Shohei Ohtani, we want you to be in the 50-50 club and calling that coaching. He's just going to do it.
Yeah.
Or not. Like, he doesn't know how to coach the quarterback position. So why is he the head coach of Caleb Williams? Because his defense had a dead cat bounce at the end of the year and played no offenses? Until they got beat by the Packers again. I mean, it's frustrating because the process sucks. And then how does Matt Eberflus look third year in game still? I've said this so much. It's not gotten any better. Go ahead.
Let's talk about the timeout after the touchdown, because you didn't know if you're going to go for 2 or just kick the extra point. So then when you waste
that
the timeout,
math should be done before you score.
Yes. And how much would it have been helpful to have that timeout at the end there? That might have been beneficial for
so
the
he
team.
Continues to stink in game management.
Mm-hmm.
Some people want the quarterback to manage the game. No, the coach manages the game. Some stuff I can't believe we got to say still.
Right, I know.
His timeouts are terrible. His challenges are sometimes terrible. It's like any given game, you could have a couple of these Flucian moments. And I'm sorry, but he's the head coach. If his ethos has bled into the offense to where we're calling in that pivotal first and goal sequence, wildcat run up the middle.
Oh my gosh.
Two more runs up the middle, and that dreadful sprint option. Get on the mic and tell him to throw a pass before the 4th down at least. Like, this is still his operation ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
And that sequence cost him the game, in my opinion, as much as anything.
Agreed.
And it's my biggest fear, man. You get Caleb, he's starting to get it, and we're going to nope. No. Inside the 5, guys. Better run the ball. Wouldn't want a turnover. It didn't work. I'm so surprised it didn't work.
And better run the ball in the most weird, nonsensical ways, too. Like outthinking
2 trick plays, essentially, out of that full.
Right, yes.
How is that higher percentage than letting Caleb throw it? You're down there because of him throwing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's all on him in like the specific moment, but it is all on him because it's his operation, and he can get on the mic and tell them what to do. I don't know if he is, but this is exactly why I don't want him coaching Caleb Williams. That whole sequence was right there for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that he's a good defensive coordinator. He cannot be good enough at that to make up for the rest of it. We're going to take the North and never give it back. Not with this coaching disadvantage you have. You are not going to do that.
That was 3 years ago he said that, and we were still looking at likely 4th place this year.
We are currently, as we sit here, in 4th place with very little to suggest they won't finish in 4th place. I mean, it's possible, but they're not winning the division. The turnaround would have to be remarkable from the O-line and the coaching.
I do remember the O-line did get better as the year went on last year.
Like that was like, is Jenkins hurt and he's trying to play because of the contract? Because he looks as bad as Davis did.
Yeah,
and he's never been this way.
He was the one that started the whole bowling pin reaction on that 4th and goal. He got pushed up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, that was.
I mean, when I saw that picture, the first thing I thought of was like, they look like models like posing at the beach, or paint me like one of your French girls. They're all like reclining on their elbows and doing these goofy poses. I'm like, this is so embarrassing. Have some pride, guys. I know you do. And the operation's all screwed up. What they're asking to do is some of this stops with Waldron, but some of it stops with Flus. All right, some of the buck stops. So bad. Now, the last thing on this game that I wanted to bring up, and I've been talking too much, sorry. But
no, I love it. You just go.
If you're keeping Flus, you can't give up 150 yards rushing to a team that can't complete a forward pass. And you can't give up game-clinching touchdowns on the ground like that. You may say the defense should be allowed to have a margin for error. I will counter with, but you're not going to get that luxury because this is his side of the ball with a bunch of resources spent on it. I want to go through the resources real quick. This team has talent. Yep. It should be better than it is. Let's do D first. So for Bears acquisition, Montez Sweat, second rounder, and big money. Javon Dexter, second rounder. A couple guys that were like later picks. Billings got an extension, but we'll just say 2 right now, high resource. Okay, I'm going to say third round and up or big time money is a high resource. Jalen Johnson is a second rounder and now big money. Brisker, second rounder. Stevenson, second rounder. Gordon, second rounder. There's plenty there. Yep. Edmonds, big money. Okay, plenty of resources spent there. Offensive side of the ball. Rome, first rounder. Caleb, number 1 overall. DJ Moore, part of that hilarious ripoff, and then big money. We'll call it big money on his. Wright, first rounder. Tevin, second, previous administration, but he was a second round pick still.
Yep.
And I can't remember. I think Jones wasn't really. He was like a 4th or 5th, so he wouldn't count for this. Cole Kmet, second rounder. At one point in his career, DeAndre Swift was a first rounder, but they gave him a decent bit of money. The point I'm making is, though, yes, they need to spend at center. Otherwise, Poles has basically invested all over the place. People keep saying he hasn't invested in the O-line. Nonsense. He signed Nate Davis also to big money. They've got a second rounder at guard and a first rounder at right tackle. He's just not spent at center.
Yeah.
And they got lucky with Braxton Jones working out at left tackle. This team is underachieving based on that resource allocation. There's a ton of guys starting that they've drafted, which is great. They should be better than this.
And if that's the case, then that goes back to the coaching staff. Yep. Well, those are some good facts, man, and good stats that you threw out there. A little
Sorry for
depressing.
dominating the episode, but I was
No, that's okay. It's better to be connected with reality than not. So maybe they did maybe Waldron learned something by when they got into the red zone in the fourth quarter. They did let Caleb throw it, and he got 2 touchdown passes on it. By the way, my hot take came to be true, right? The 2 Caleb touchdowns.
You did. Shout out to the hot take.
Woo-hoo. Yeah.
Did I say one would be to Rome? Was that mine? I think I did.
I think so. It was.
I can't quite remember. Here's another tweet for you for reasons to just laugh and relax. In game from Magnetic Curses /Soli, aka Kang in the North. In game 2 of his career, Joe Burrow threw 61 passes, mercy.
Oh.
For 316 yards and 3 TDs against the Browns and lost. The Bengals rushed 17 times for 49 yards. What do you think Bengals fans and media were saying? Do you think they were happy to have their guy, or do you think they were incandescent over 49 rushing yards? The Bears got to run the ball better more, but it's a good point. The lead should still be Caleb's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is definitely the biggest takeaway that you should get from yesterday, and how each week he has shown really, really good growth each game in different areas. So, yeah, he's going to be fine. He's going to outlast this regime, maybe a couple. Yeah. Hopefully not a couple. Hopefully the next one
is just like this awesome pairing, and we're off to the races, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm sorry to be down on the coaches like this. I've been down on this whole process all along, though. But it's right there for you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're just reacting to what we've seen. Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks, can I give a little shout out to Justin Fields? I'm so happy for him that he's doing well in a better situation. Coaching, yeah, 3-0. He won 10 games as the Bears quarterback in 3 years, and already 3 games with the Steelers. If that doesn't
the Steelers' defense is great.
It is, but the Bears' defense is great.
Good,
fine.
Still,
but my point is the It's coaching. That's absolutely the biggest difference between the Bears and the Steelers. So, it's a shame it didn't work out with Justin, but I'm happy that we got Caleb now. Much more optimistic about Caleb than I ever was about Justin, but glad to see that Justin is okay and going to be okay.
Yeah, and the thing, shout out to the Steelers coaches and defense and Justin all for making that thing work.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, when I saw the highlight of him throwing middle of the field with anticipation. Justin tried to tell us. He tried to tell us, then he recanted, but he did. He told us last year that the coaches were screwing him up.
Yep, he did.
That was a cry for help. He did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took it back. But the truth was, of course, the first statement. Yep. So I wish him nothing but the best, genuinely.
Same.
I will be skeptical until he is also putting up numbers that they need for them to win.
Understood.
In a fourth quarter drive or two. But, man, he might be in the perfect landing spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of professional operation that I wish we had.
Yeah, that's a good way to wrap it up.
But, of course, they had to endure whatever that guy's name was as the OC last year. So, but we've endured bad OCs my whole life. Can we just get one good play caller?
I know. What's the common denominator that keeps making this happen over and over and over again? Is it George and ownership saying we're the Chicago Bears, we've got to win with defense? Or
maybe, but I don't know, but please stop thinking that.
Me or George?
The Bears.
Yeah, that was a joke. Yeah.
Hey, another point of progress. I don't think you had any tips at the line last.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did we have any against the Texans?
I don't remember.
Because that was a big deal against the Titans. I was like, who's just going to get intercepted? But they never did.
Mm-hmm.
Just a miscellaneous thought.
Sure. All right. Well, hey, I feel a little better, man. That was
I feel better
cathartic.
and worse.
No, it's cathartic, right?
There. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. He's ruined a simple word for me.
Yeah. I never think of tactics the same way either now. All right, I'm going to end this so we can go do our jobs and work and stuff. So thanks, everyone, for listening to our recap of the Bears' loss to the Colts. We'll check in later this week as we preview the Rams game. Send us an email, bearlyeducatedpod@gmail.com. Check us out on the socials @bearly_educated. And our website, buymeacoffee.com/bearly_educated if you want to support our show and get a free t-shirt in the process. We will talk to you later. Until then, go Caleb. Bear down.
I'm not saying I make a lick of sense.
And that's a real shame.
You suck, Chris.
I am wounded!
Caleb Williams.
We will watch your career with great interest.
I love the Bears.